He put a lot on the fact that the team has let the fans down here today. How much is it on him as a manager? And is there a limit to what a manager can do?
Well, he's a manager, so he will take full responsibility. But what he's also saying as well is, hopefully I'm sending my team out with a structure and with a belief. And what's happening here at the moment is that once Manchester United could see the goal, their confidence just disappears. And he's saying that's not acceptable. These are good players, they're Premier League players, and their standards have to be higher. And basically, he wants to. It sounds to me as though if he wants to bring in more players, how many more can he bring in such a short period of time? This is a long process for Manchester United. This is not going to change in 6 months or a year, I don't believe. I think it's going to take them a lot longer for him to get the players in that he wants. But what he's got to do in the meantime is bring some pride back for those supporters and just keep drumming in the method of his play, and he's got to get those players working for him. And just if they can see the simple goal, not collapse, you've got to lift your performance higher again when you concede a goal. And at the moment, it's going the opposite way. They're sinking.
How many players do you think they do need? Obviously, like you said, they can't bring everybody in with 2 weeks left. But just looking at this squad at the moment, because Ralph Rangnick suggested at the end of last season, this side needs major heart surgery. 10 players in. They're not going to get that in a single window. Let's face it, they're not going to. They've got Lisandro Martinez in. They're looking at the likes of Adrien Rabiot. How many more players do they need to at least put United back at a decent level?
If they can't adjust the confidence with the players they've got there and then bringing in maybe 1 or 2 more, they've got a serious problem.
He was surprised there, the manager. The manager was surprised. He learnt something about his team there, and in his interview, watching him there, we sat in the studio, we watched the game, we were surprised, we were shocked at what we were watching, and I think he learnt a lot about his players in that.
He's saying there, I've got to change the culture of the players. You could almost hear him saying, it happened last season, I wasn't in charge. I'm surprised it's already happened this season. I've got to change that very, very quickly. He's not going to accept that.
They need at least 3. They need a right back. The right backs aren't good enough. McTominay and Fred are not good enough. They need a right back, they need a holding midfielder, and they need a striker if Ronaldo goes. They can't go into the season with Martial and Rashford because you can't rely on them to score enough goals. The Ronaldo situation needs to be sorted out. He obviously can't play every game, so they need another option. So for me, at least before the window closes, they need a right back, a holding midfielder and a striker.
But Erik ten Hag alone, Nigel, cannot change the entire culture of Manchester United. We've seen how they operate. They've basically revamped their entire scouting and recruitment system. They're still in the same problems that they are right now. Erik ten Hag alone, it can't be a miracle worker. And he's not the profile of someone like, say, Antonio Conte, one that United at one point feared bringing in because of the personality that he is and the demands that he makes, that we're seeing right now at Tottenham Hotspur. United weren't brave enough to bring someone in like Conte to shake things up and to shine the light on the owners, on the structure, on the boardroom. It goes beyond Erik ten Hag.
Well, what Ten Hag and the players have got to do is shut themselves. They've got to get themselves in a little bubble. They've got to block all this hysteria that is around them at the moment. They've got to block that out, and he's got to work with those players. First of all, the first people that are going to come under pressure, and that will be next week, will be the Glazers at Manchester United. That's where all the anger is going to be directed to start with. The players and the manager have got to push that aside, and they are the ones that have got to somehow put in the performances that bring some pride back, some energy, some belief to the football club, because at the moment it's way below expectations.
There is supposedly a planned protest on the day against Liverpool, that the fans will not be attending on that match, or there will be a walkout on the day. Is that understandable? Yes, first of all, and is that fair on the players?
Well, listen, the supporters are what your club are. It's not about the players. You're playing for the pride of your club, and at the moment those players are way below where they need to be for their supporters. That's what a football club is about. It's about your supporters.
We've seen it with a long time in Manchester United. This isn't something new. There's been protests, there's been walkouts, there's protests against the owners, and it's been going on for a long, long time now. I think the problem that you have with boycotting games, there's always somebody that will go to a Manchester United game. You know, the stadium won't look empty. The hardcore, the true supporters, the ones that care passionately about the way that the club's been run and the way that they feel the money's been taken out of the football club and what's happened over there the last few years. The real hardcore of supporters, yeah, they will continue to protest and they will continue to walk out the stadium, not attend games. But the problem that you've got, Manchester United is a global superpower. Somebody will always want to go and watch Manchester United.
And also what you need when you're not playing well, you need your supporters to create that atmosphere. But what the supporters, when they create that atmosphere, what they want to be given back is energy and belief. And at the moment, you can't see that from this United team. It could flip and change next week very, very quickly. But at the moment, that team needs the supporters to really galvanise them and try and drive them forward because their confidence is so low.
Do you think Christian Eriksen is regretting moving to Manchester United now?
I think it's very early days, very, very early days. I think listen, we talk about Manchester United, talk about where they are. You forget where their status is in world football. You know, they're one of, if not the biggest club in the world still. You look at the infrastructure of the club. It's a huge football club. For me, I can't see them, listen, to the bottom of the Premier League. They can't get any worse than they are now. They've lost to two teams who you would expect them to beat. It's transitional period, but how long is their transitional period going to be? It has to come to an end at some point. I think the only way for them from here is to get better. I can't see the manager accepting another performance like that. I can't see the players themselves accepting another performance like that. So I think things can only get better, but
it could get worse against
next week
Liverpool.
Against Liverpool. But if the players can't get themselves up for that, if they can't get their attitude right for that game, then there is a problem.